10:14 on Wednesday morning, Boogie with a little better late than never edition. I was making myself a fresh pot of iced coffee. My morning caffeine this morning. Randy Rhodes is with us to share his take on life. We are live on the Dave Globin profile. We are live on the Boogie with the Bull True Patriot Talk profile. And somewhere on YouTube, we're live on the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel. If you want to make it easy on yourself this morning, come into the Dave Globin profile and watch. And if you don't want to make it easy on yourself, go into the Boogie with the Bull True Patriot Talk public group and watch it there. But before you do that, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give Facebook permission if you want to watch it in the group. I'd rather, it's just easier. Everybody watch it on the Dave Globin profile. And if you want to share it, it's in the group. And if you're a member of the group, you can watch it in the group too. Good morning to Danny Campbell, who has watched more Boogie with the Bull broadcasts than anybody else in the history of Boogie with the Bull. Even Cokie Malone, the guy who wrote the song Boogie with the Bull. And we decided that we would give Randy another opportunity to come on in the 10 a.m. hour today to do his Maui fire report, along with any updates that he might have. And then, of course, we'll talk about the Trump, Georgia indictments and anything else that that comes up. Good morning, Dr. Rhodes.
I don't know about, I guess I could be a doctor if Jill's a doctor. I don't think she has a doctorate in whatever, psychology, whatever. But that being said, so just like the Ukraine war thing, the Maui fire is kind of like losing its steam on the news feed. They're not really talking too much about it. I saw some video of the local people getting their story out because they feel that the local officials are trying to cover up and hide and keep the degree of destruction out of the mainstream field to not tell the people how bad it really is. So some of the folks are starting to produce their own videos. Earlier yesterday, I'd mentioned that there were some multi-billionaires who have been talking about trying to buy up this land where these folks live. And the folks said, no, we don't want to sell land. We want to live here. And then all of a sudden now this fire comes in. Okay. And it's the worst fire on recorded history as far as the intensity and supposedly the expectation of the loss of life. But
it's not connected to the rest of the islands, right? It's just this separate, independent, small bottle cap sitting in the water, right?
Yeah, I saw a story, and I didn't look too far into it, but I think this was the original Hawaiian island where their emperor, king, whatever, lived on the island. I want to dig deeper into that just to make sure I'm talking sense.
So it's like, I'm sorry I cut you off, but Bill Muckler, like I said on his Friday report, said that it will be very hard to get the resources to build because there's no port of Maui. I mean, I'm sure that there's a dock or something, but there's no port of Maui, and there's probably no big Amazon doesn't have a helicopter port to drop things off. So
I mean, from what I was seeing, people were bringing supplies into them through water skis and stuff like that. That's how separate from the mainland they are.
So if everybody wants to own a big chunk of it, all the elite that have places there, my think is compensate the people fairly if you really want them out of there so that they can afford to go somewhere if they want to leave. If they don't want to leave, then they're going to they have every right to stay there. But if it ever became an elitist paradise or an elitist country or whatever it could become, cut them off and make it incredibly hard for them to get stuff.
Yeah, the island was one of the original islands that had its own king. And if I'm going to butcher the guy's poor name, but King Cacaleno was one of the kings at the time, and the Spanish were the first ones to arrive on this island. There was only a handful, and of course, men being men and pretty Hawaiian, females being pretty Hawaiian females, they hooked up, and next thing you know, they start having kids and family and so forth. But yeah, there's a lot of wealthy people who own, 50, 60, 80, 100 or more acres of Hawaiian land. And what I saw this morning was the freaking governor of Hawaii is already making moves from a state standpoint to buy up all that land that's been destroyed. And legally, I guess he could, because they were talking yesterday about declaring it a biohazard waste because the heat of the fire was so extreme that it was melting metal into a molten stream, like you would see, like lava, and the rubber of the tires and so forth was melting. He was going to declare it a biohazard waste, and now today I'm seeing reports where he's making moves to buy up the damn land.
Yeah. Well, Bill was saying that people were literally jumping into the water.
Yeah. Thank God there's no sharks, right?
We hope. I mean, maybe it was probably too warm for them. But, yeah, people jumping in the water to get away from them. Oh, by the way, people that are watching, the Bill Muckler report is Monday through Friday at, excuse me, I'm not, let me clear my throat and then I'll do it. The Bill Muckler report is Monday through Friday from, it starts at 4:00. And you should go to the Bill Muckler page and you should watch it. And it's sponsored by Bill's 2 books. And you can go to 2020americabook.com to get more information on the books. And you should buy the books and read the books only because I've been saying, and Bill has been saying, and I got it from Bill, that when he wrote the books 15, 20 years ago, he was writing about what is happening right now and how to cure it. And smart man, very smart man. So 2020americabook.com, buy one book, get one book free, or buy one book. I think they're $20 a book, but if you buy one book, you get one book free. And makes a good gift, and smart guy. But go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, so there are a lot of celebrities who own homes there. Right now, the confirmed dead is 101, but they expect that to jump into the thousands because there's still over 1,000 missing that are unaccounted for. And that's why the police officer, the police chief, made a statement that it's very possible the dust and dirt that the people were walking in were actually the ashes of the deceased. That's how intense the fire was. But I mean, even Oprah Winfrey, she owns a part-time home in Maui.
Which is like half the island.
Has 1,000 acres of land.
Yeah.
And gee whiz, the firefighters were able to keep the fire away from her home. How about that?
Yeah.
And that seems to be the way it is. There's like a dozen, 8 here I can confirm who own land there, and none of their homes were destroyed. Now, the one guy, he did have his restaurant, Fleetwood Mac drummer, Mick Fleetwood. He said that his restaurant on Lahaina had been destroyed. So he did suffer some loss.
Yeah.
But again, there's just too many, what can I say, too many
unanswered questions.
Unanswered questions because I mentioned last night that they do acknowledge that early in the day there was a fire, and the firefighters responded and they put the fire out and they thought that it had 100%. And just like Jerry mentioned last night, as I did as myself, here in Lancaster County, we have wooded areas, and depending on how the summer is, if it gets really dry, it becomes a tinder, and just to take that just to start a fire. But our firefighters, when they respond to a brush or a bush or trees or whatever kind of fire, non-structural, they'll put the fire out. They'll turn the dirt because the embers and stuff, goes underneath the ground, and then they'll leave men there for several hours to ensure that the fire is out. Well, that didn't take place here.
But they do it on structure fires too. A friend of mine's in the board up business up in Boston, and it's not uncommon on a house fire to do exactly the same thing to make sure that other houses in the neighborhoods don't go up.
There's just too many mistakes were made. The school sent the children home during the fire. They should have kept them there because it would have been easier just to pick them all up and get them out. But instead, they sent the children home. I'm going to assume, I don't know for a fact, but I'm assuming that they walked to school because of being a small community. And the parents weren't made aware of it until later. Hey, your kids are at home waiting to be rescued. Oh shit! There's fire here and there, and so they're expecting the death rate of the children to be very high as well.
Or as I tried to sneak in under both of you, we hope they went home. We hope they got home.
Yeah, that's true too. Hey, free day off of school. Let's go have some fun. Oh
no,
shit!
well,
What's ever stuff in the sky?
More than I wonder about kids walking home from school and something like that. If someone says, we're collecting you kids to take you off the island to bring you to your parents on another island, then
this is a Democrat-controlled state.
Yep,
folks. I don't think we're ever going to find out the 100% truth. I think palms are going to be flush with money. I think there's going to be gag orders put into place. I think that's going to try and cover up. Maybe some people might resign. That's a good time to resign. You know what? I don't want to do this job anymore. Instead of getting fired, I don't think no one's going to go to jail for mistakes they made. I mean, the sirens didn't go off. I mean, here in Lancaster County, we have sirens on top of all every single firehouse in Lancaster County in the city have sirens. They're World War II, vintage, but they're there for a purpose, and that is to warn people of a major disaster about to take place, tornadoes and hurricanes and fires. But for some reason, that did not happen on the island. The siren never went off.
Is it a diversion? And if it is, what is it a diversion from? Because it doesn't seem like any of the quote-unquote lamestream media wants any report of it. I mean, Google this morning had a minor thing, 106 people are dead now, and cell phone and power is a problem, and people are starting to complain about that.
Well, one thing too that's kind of weird. I found video earlier. I'm not sure if I saved it or not. I think I might have, where the first fire that started, the homeowners started fighting this fire with water hose and sewer because the firefighters had not responded as of yet, and they were putting out the fire, and all of a sudden the water gets turned off. They no longer have water to fight the fire that was there. So obviously it got, the fire got out of hand. So what turned the water off?
I don't know. Just, I think it's like we said last night. I don't know if we will get the whole story. We probably won't ever get the whole story. I had said even last night that I was joking when I said we need to talk to President. I was born in Hawaii and Secretary of the Deep State to see what they know, and people are throwing that back at me that hey, that's maybe what we need to do. I don't understand why it would be necessary to do something like this to get the rank and file to leave the island just so the elite can expand what they have, because I can't see how, if Oprah Winfrey has 1,000 acres and everybody else has 500 acres, unless they're going to try to grab 500 acres, to be equal to her, and she decides to try to grab more to have more than everybody else. I just don't understand it. And the 15-minute cities scare the bejeebies out of me. If you go in the Facebook news feed and you look at some of these hotels right now, it literally looks like a cube. Your room is a cube. And if you go in and you read the ad, you've got to have a key card or code that gets you into the cube that has the bathroom and shower. And they control the electricity that you have. They control the air conditioning that you have. They control the heat that you have. And I said to Donna, it's a 15-minute city. If they don't like what I say on the internet, they're going to turn off my electricity or kill my Wi-Fi, or, kill my Wi-Fi and zap my checking account, and I'm not going to be able to pay my rent there anymore. And I just don't. I'm not scared. I'm just confused. Just confused to where we are and how we got here. Good morning. Jerry Michaels is in the Boogie with the Bull live chat on the Dave Globin profile. And Jerry, the link is up if you want to join us. I scheduled this to give Randy a morning shot to get this Maui report into the discussion. And I do know that he has to leave before the end of 2 hours if that's how long today's broadcast goes. But you're welcome to join in if you wish. And good morning to Danny Campbell and anybody who was watching on YouTube, on the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel. We're there as well. But let's stick to the testimony rather than telling everybody where we are.
So this is new news. New news. So what I'm going to share with you is a video, and let's see what here is. And it's Oprah Winfrey talking about what the plans are for the island back several months ago. Okay, so give me a moment here to get set up.
Yep, send me the camera, and we'll go from there.
Present.
One of these days, Randy Rhodes is going to be a famous producer of live broadcasts.
Here we go.
There it is. And for $250 a month, you'll have Randy Rhodes broadcasting. Okay, Randy. There it is. There's no audio on it.
Okay, so you missed. So hold on, give me some background here. So several months ago, a bunch of rich people in the government of Hawaii had made a decision to turn the island Hawaii of Maui and Lahaina into one big, gigantic, all-electric, controlled by AI island. Okay, and that's what she's talking about here.
There's still no audio on it, but that's all right.
Can you hear it?
No, there's no audio on it. But I'm sure if they wanted to do something to it, it's probably not in the best interest of the people that were living there, other than the.
You can't hear that.
No, I'm not getting any audio off that camera. We did last night. Not getting any audio on it this morning.
Because if you can hear this, you can hear me. Hear that.
Yep. Okay. I don't know. There is no.
Huh. You should be able, because if you're hearing me talk, you're hearing me.
I'm hearing you talk, but I'm not getting any audio. I'm not hearing her talk. I did hear her talk last night when we were watching. Hold on, let me try.
Essentially, what she's saying is that the government of Hawaii and these rich people are, prior to the fire several months ago, we're talking about turning the island as one big, gigantic, all-electric, controlled by AI island for whatever reason, okay? And now that the island's been destroyed, they can just walk right in, buy up the land for cheap, and start building their dream of an all-electric city controlled by AI.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, if they're going to do a land grab, they're going to build, they're going to have electricity. They're not going to get anybody to stay at the Oprah Winfrey Hilton if there's no electricity.
Well, she's talking about all electric, the electric cars, electric this, electric that.
Yeah.
The dream world of the rich and famous is all electric. But, that being said, there'll be more coming up, I'm sure, throughout the day, the next several days as to the final count. If there will ever be a final count, they'll probably wind up doing is going back on the census, find out how many people were living there, 2 weeks ago, to find out, how many bodies and how many bodies they actually have, how many living people they have, and what's the gap in between is the ashes that they're walking on.
No, go ahead.
And they could, because the fact, because of the potential for ashes, being bodies and the molten metal, the rubber, I can see them declaring the island a major hazard and forcing people off the land. And then someone's going to invest a couple $1 billion, go in there and scrape off the top several feet there of the dirt like they do in a hazardous soil, and just build whatever the hell they want to build.
But they got to have some place to put what they scrape off. It's like East Palestine, Ohio. That's what they had to do. They went down so far and scraped so much and sent it to another place in Ohio and I think a place in Michigan where they're evidently cleaning it. And then at some point they're claiming they're cleaning it, and at some point they can send it back. And with, what are they going to do? Scrape, half of this island off and then put it in boats and send it somewhere and hope that it gets there without the back door of these huge ships opening up and dumping it into the ocean and starting.
I see them doing that, dump it into the ocean before.
It's going to become a Chernobyl that's worse, and I don't want to spend the day at the end of the day when I lay down and say my prayers to God going, did these people have ulterior motives? I mean, and why? And, if they can do it on this small island, why can't they do it on this big island that we're on?
Well, that's what they're, Dave, the Democrats have no morals. And I hate to say that because, I have a daughter who's a Democrat. I have a son who's a Democrat. And I got grandkids who are being raised Democrat. Politicians-wise, just say politician-wise and their higher-ups, if they can support the destruction of their own retail, wholesale businesses in their districts to where they'll say, go there and burn and destroy and loot, and AOC saying, oh, these people are just stealing $1,000 of merchandise because that's what they're going to use to sell. They're going to put food on the table. Blah 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 blah. No, they're not going to.
But your daughter, and your son, and your wife Claudette, they're not saying that to you, are they? That people should be allowed to. I really wish I could get some people that would come on and say, yeah, you really should be allowed to do that. And I don't mean the.
Now, my wife is Republican, so she
Okay,
has a lot
I'm
of
sorry. Then I apologize, Claudette. And if you ever come on, I will apologize personally. But and I don't mean the, and I'm going to get in trouble for saying it this way, but the black portion of our population who, in some cases, doesn't always know what they are politically. But I don't believe that any American citizen actually believes that anybody has the right to walk into your business anywhere and grab $1,000 worth of stuff and walk out, and you're not going to make some attempt to prosecute, if not actually prosecute. Because what I'd really like to say to all of these black business owners is that if you support that, let me know where your business is, because the day you have walk in and grab $1,000 worth of stuff day, I'm going to make sure I'm there.
Well, they don't have a certain day. I just remembered this morning, and I know I didn't put it down. There's an entire town, small town. The entire police force just said, and they walked off the force. They said they're tired of making the arrest. They're tired of people being released. They're tired of no one being charged. And so, you know what? We're gone. And the entire police force just walked off.
Right.
And that's what the Democrats want. The Democrats want the criminals to be in control. That's why they're trying to empty the damn prisons of all the heavy-duty criminals. I can see releasing the lightweight ones, but they're releasing murderers and rapists and so forth.
We need to, I think, as you just called them, lightweight, or like if you saw Robert Redford's movie Brubaker, and there was the guy, the black gentleman Pops, who was probably in his 80s, and he became a trustee when he was there very early on in his sentence. He got something like 80 years for stealing a loaf of bread when he was a kid because he was hungry. And he stayed there when his time was up because he had spent so much time in prison. That's the only society of life that he knew. And he was safe there because no one bothered him. But this, the small things that people didn't need to go to prison for, that could have probably been maintained with a responsible parole agent, and people that really admitted that they made a mistake and really wanted to show some rehabilitation and get a second chance. Those people should be back out getting that second chance. And hopefully we can round up the 5.4 illegals, the criminal element of them. And then once we have them rounded up, send them home. Send them home. Because now it's like you hear Josh Hawley talking in all the Senate testimonies when he has Mayorkas there going, there's an app now. They can on their cell phone set a time that they're going to be arrested at the border to be picked up and released. The hell is the purpose of that? I just don't get it. I just don't get it anymore. We're paying something like over $100,000 a day per section of the border wall that is sitting in warehouses around this country because the Democrats don't want to just finish the wall.
You know,
give me the $100,000 then. Give Randy the $100,000.
Why can't the Democrats in control and the rhinos of the Republican side, either they have some severe ulterior motive for the desire to destroy our nation, or they're just plain ass stupid. Why can't they look at what's going on across the world with all the illegals and various religions, whatever, I'm not going to, just say the Muslims, but all the illegals coming in throughout Europe, looking at all the problems they're experiencing, okay? And here we are willy-nilly saying we're going to take, allow these millions of undocumented to come into our country from. They've documented over 200 different nations that these people are coming from. And not every one of them like us.
We never heard, or at least I never heard much of when they took over London. We never heard much other than, now the population of London is swelling with them. Now they own London. It just seemed like the Queen at the time said, or Parliament at the time said, well, we're just going to deal with it. If they came in legally, I guess that's okay, but it's not okay because if they came in to do a land grab in London, that's going to lead to a land grab in, the next city and the next city and the next city until they have the country. It's not right. It's like I always said, if you left Iran, Iraq, all these places to come to the United States to experience the American dream for you and your family, and you showed up at the border and all the paperwork is completed right, the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, and you're going to get a job, you're going to find a place for your family to live, your kids get a chance to go to school, although I don't know why anybody wants to go to school in America anymore unless you're going to homeschool them.
Yeah, exactly.
But, and live well and prosper, I guess it's okay. But now it's like, do I have to be suspicious of every single one I see on the street?
You don't know what I think, and I can touch base, somewhat in what I'm being affiliated with lately, and that's with the Southern Independence Association. The people in the South, they are family oriented. Here, my family. Okay, here, my family is. It's a mess. I got my brother who moved 2.5 hours away from me. He never calls, never talks to me. Blah 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 blah. I'll never see him again. My parents are both dead. My son lives 5 minutes from me. Have nothing to do with me and my wife. They have 3 grandkids. We're lucky to see them once a year. Thankfully, my daughter lives with us, and she helps take care of us because in our grown age.
My father, God rest his soul, that would kill him because my brother and I were never particularly close, other than it was kind of like the original Odd Couple relationship. And my father would take me aside when it was just him and I in his final days, and he would say to me, "I want you and your brother to get over it and resolve it and be brothers." And, I can't imagine how difficult, well, I can, how difficult it must be for a parent who has lost contact with a child, or a brother who lost contact with a brother or a sister, and that's all they have left.
Yeah. And what makes it more difficult for me is that, with me doing genealogy, all I did was families.
Yep.
And I mentioned to my one client a day or two ago, I'm looking at these photos, right, from way back when, right, black and white photos, scratchy, Tinder silver film, and there's like 15, 20, 30 children, to one man, one woman, and they're not, I have yet to find a client that comes from a multi-million dollar family. Okay, all my clients, and God bless them, are farmers. Their ancestors were farmers or stoic clerks and things like that. But these photos show these families, obviously they're smiling for the picture. I got that, okay? But they seem to be well dressed, well fed. They live on farms, and to be honest with you, looking at the pictures of the farms, I don't know how the hell they grew anything, because it looked like they lived, that the ground is nothing but dry, barren land. But they made a living, and they stuck together, and they lived together. And that's how they built their communities and their towns. And that's why a lot of the towns named after damn freedom, because there's so many of them. But in today's world, especially in my my life, the family is distorted and separated. But the people in the South, they look after each other, they care for each other, and they care for others. And so one of the things that we're trying to do with the Southern Independence Association is to I'm in charge of trying to find volunteers across the southern states and any northern state who wants to join in, to find the politicians in their area, whether it be dog catcher up to the governor, who supports like-minded Christian or Jewish or whatever good family values. Okay,
You covered yourself very well there. But
thank you. Yeah, I got that.
The easiest way I tell people, because a lot of people will say to me after a broadcast, "Did I offend you?" And I just tell them, it's either Christian, Judeo, or Judeo-Christian, whichever one you want to use. I just tell people that I prefer, meaning me, Judeo-Christian, because roses are red, violets are bluish. If it wasn't for Jesus, we'd all be Jewish. So we used to say that at Sabbath school. Roses are red, violets are bluish. If it wasn't for Jesus, we'd all still be Jewish.
Okay. So anyway, so what they're trying to do is, they want people to volunteer to gather information of their politicians, their office addresses, their phone numbers, emails, great. And then we have boots on the ground who will peacefully go to those areas and just rally. Like, unlike the left, who wants to destroy and burn and loot and so forth, we're going to peacefully to say, look, these are the values. We live in your area, in your district. You are not reflecting our beliefs and our morals. If you don't start turning around and start supporting, the Southern heritage, the Confederacy, or whatever, our Christian values, or the Judeo-Christian values, then we're going to invest money, which they have, to get your butt voted out next election cycle. So that's what we're all about. We are the political arm of the SCV, and we're going to start from the local level up, start to get our people who have like-minded values voted into office, and those who don't, get them voted out of office peacefully.
A noble task. A noble task. I hope we can do it, and Randy will make sure that he goes into.
I already have four people who signed up for me.
No, I'm just saying
Carolina,
that
Tennessee, Georgia, obviously the state of Pennsylvania, and a couple other states have already signed up. I'm trying to reach out to Derek Arnold.
Yeah.
he'd be a perfect person for a boots on the ground guy.
He is very busy with what's going on in New Hampshire because he's a New Hampshireite 6 months of the year, and a Floridian the other 6 months. And I think with the way things are going on in New Hampshire in the upcoming primary, he is spending a lot of time doing things in New Hampshire. Good morning, S. Marie Daly. Do me a favor, S. Marie. Is it you want to be called S. Marie? S. Marie when you come on? You want to be called Marie? I know a lot of times people have the S and then another name, a middle name, or something else. Do you want to be Marie Daly, or do you just want to be S. Marie Daly when I see you on? I like to give people a hello and
hello.
with the name that they want to.
Speaking of hellos,
They want you to say hello.
Our illustrious commander-in-chief, not you see the latest fiasco with him walking off a stage. He was totally lost. He didn't know where to go.
I refuse to call him. I refuse to acknowledge him as commander-in-chief.
Oh yeah.
If I had to, if both of them, Trump and Biden, were sitting and I had to give them the appropriate titles, I can call Joe Biden president. I cannot call him commander-in-chief because I don't think he has the cognitive resources to understand how to be a commander-in-chief. And then I see pictures in my head of George Washington riding a horse into battle as commander-in-chief, and I see Biden riding a horse into a battle as commander-in-chief, and I look away as soon as I see that picture because I just don't want to see it.
Another thing too that's really sad is the education system that we have right now, and the morals that they're teaching our children. They're not the morals that that represents the families. It used to be, when I was in school, we got taught what was it, 4 or 5 R's: reading, arithmetic, whatever.
Yeah, reading, writing, arithmetic, the 3 R's.
Thank you. Yes, and we got taught, you had your choice. I graduated in '77, so back then the choice was military or occupation, like a Motec, or college, right? So I had chose college, then I went into the military. But today, the schools aren't preparing our children for anything other than the fact that to convince them at the age of 5 years old, Jimmy, you're now a Jenny, and Christina, you're now a Christopher.
But I'm sorry. Now I'm seeing videos of mothers complaining that their kids who want to be cats, are getting in trouble. This mother said her son believes that he is a cat, wants to be treated like a cat. He's not giving the teachers any trouble. He just wants to be a cat, and the teachers are going off on him. And no, you want Johnny to be Jenny, and you want Jenny to be Johnny. You got to allow. The worst thing is,
but besides the fact these schools now have to make arrangements for the locker rooms and the bathrooms to be,
and the nicknames.
Okay.
Now the parents
have to have litter boxes for those who identify as cats.
They called, I guess, what we're calling pronouns nicknames. And in some states, the parents have to send in a list of acceptable nicknames.
That's bullshit.
For their child to be called. And I can just think in some houses it's I hope I don't offend anybody, but I'm over caffeinated right now, fuckhead or asswipe or butthead, stupid, I I'm waiting for the parents who send in things like that, as well as the ones who, the him, her, it, he, she, it, almost to the point where I wish that some of those parents, and it's a rude thing to say, would take their kids, if they're going to force this upon their kids, and move to Peru where Dylan Mulvaney went.
Say what?
Dylan Mulvaney, evidently, in the last video I saw, claims that it is now in Peru because of death threats in the United States related to the Bud Light beer thing and this whole transgender thing. Decided that the only place in the world that was safe was to move to Peru. And
Peru, of all places,
the only safe place I can think of, if you're Dylan Mulvaney, is to not tell people where you move to. And I will still say, every time I bring up the Bud Light boycott controversy anyway, is that the CEO of AB InBev, the parent of Anheuser-Busch, the CEO of Anheuser-Busch, the entire marketing department of Bud Light should be removed. Because I've been saying through this whole boycott, girlcott, she-cott, he-cott, apricot, whatever you want to call it, thing, is that I will bet you any amount of money that I can raise that there are just as many traditional Bud Light beer drinkers and quote unquote other whatever genders they may identify with, Bud Light drinkers that have been going to Walmart, 24-hour Walmarts, in the middle of the night and taking their stuff to a self-checkout and buying all the Bud Light they can still get. Not as much now, because now it's back to its regular prices. And have been drinking this through the whole thing. And the big thing about it is Dylan just said, you shouldn't drink this anymore, and then left the country. And because if I was the CEO of AB InBev, I'd be going, if you drank Bud Light before all of this and you liked Bud Light before all of this, I hope you keep drinking Bud Light. And if you were drinking Bud Light before all of this and you were I would never have called any of them a frat boy, but if you were a construction guy who came home and drank Bud Light or kept a 6-pack of Bud Light in your truck, your construction guy, and had a couple, at the job site and safely got driven home afterwards, please continue. Maybelline, I think, stood up to them. Dylan was gonna try to take down Maybelline, and they just didn't do it. I mean, they just said, we're just going to continue selling to people who like using Maybelline cosmetics. And if AB InBev had done the same thing, this would have just gone away. Some people would have been upset and they would have stopped buying it and maybe switched to drinking something else. Plus, the beer industry is so screwed up anyway, where you have AB InBev, who is the largest brewing company in the entire world, had the Miller Brewing Company up until 2016 when they sold it to Molson Coors for $12 billion, and then all of a sudden bought back 50%, the minority partnership of Molson Coors. They sold all their craft beers to Tilray for $85 million. Everything changes hands from time to time. And sooner or later, AB InBev is going to own it all again anyway. So, what to me, if you like a beer, you should be drinking the beer. And if you don't want to be seen during what you think is a boycott, then like I said, go to a 24-hour Walmart and go through a self-checkout, because everybody is going through human cashiers and they're never going to see you anyway. I just think the whole thing got way out of hand.
You
Go ahead,
know,
Randy.
I did a broadcast of my own.
You did a broadcast on your own?
Yeah, I did. My heart was every now and then I get very melancholy, and I get really sad and depressed, and I go into my corner and I kind of thing, right? But I can just see that now. Okay, he sucked his thumb. But no, but
saw it now on Boogie with the Bull morning caffeine.
Yes.
Is it a caffeinated thumb?
No, 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 but so I did this broadcast, and poor Jen, she came in at the very end. I'll explain it to you in a second. But anyway, I did this broadcast, and I was talking about a couple of different things, mostly about the shape our country's in and the politics and so forth. But I know time moves forward, and life changes and so forth. But we are, and Michael has said it, and Jerry has said it. Our nation is becoming a modern version of Rome. We are destroying ourselves from within. We don't have to worry about Russia or China or North Korea or Iran to bring us down. We're doing it ourselves. And by taking away all the standards for which our nation was originally designed on, which is the belief in God and family and so forth, and watch out for your neighbors. We used to be able to watch TV and not be afraid of what's going to pop up or pop out, on screen. And my wife and I, we have, I do my genealogy throughout most of the day, evening, late at night. We have like 2 hours. We watch TV together
while he's doing Boogie with the Bull broadcasts.
Wow.
And he's not even doing mine.
Yeah, I'm not doing hardly. You're lucky I'm here. I don't really do a whole lot of public appearances. My manager has reduced me to only like one a month. But so we're watching. We have a couple of programs that we love. The Rookie FBI, Blue Bloods, and one or two others, and that's it.
I heard rumors a couple of years ago that Tom Selleck was leaving because he wanted a 2-year contract, and they only gave him a 1-year contract, and that never seemed to happen. And he still, as commissioner, runs into the same, you think he died, but he's like Captain Kirk. The next day he's back. And then I wonder how that show would continue if
it would.
If he wasn't there. I mean, you could probably bring back his father as police commissioner temporarily. If you move,
I can see his older son.
If you move Danny, right? If you move Danny up, I think half the police department would quit. So it wouldn't be a very long. It wouldn't be a very long thing either.
So we watch these shows, but and thankfully, the two shows, Rookie and Blue Bloods, is more or less keeping the noise of the left out of their scripts. Now that might change. I don't know. But up until now, there's been very little porno, very little transvestites or gays or lesbian things going on.
Because the writers are on strike.
Well, yeah. But, now Rookie FBI, of course, they brought on this lady, FBI agent, who's got boobs out to here, and she's a lesbian. The
But
problem
they
is
do
that,
that with all the good shows,
yeah.
unfortunately.
But
You know,
so my wife and I, we started watching the old black and white TV shows. You
yeah,
know, we
you know,
watched, we binged watched Adam 12.
yeah.
We did like
One out of
six
12.
seasons in like 3 months. We're doing Dragnet right now.
Dragnet. Oh
Uh,
God.
I mean, I'm talking about
Just the
old
facts.
black and white.
Just the facts.
Yeah. And
Jack Webb was way ahead of his time.
so I realize there's been things throughout ages that are that were there, like gays and lesbians and things like that, but it wasn't up in your face.
Yep.
Okay, unlike today's TV, it's in the damn cartoons.
And some shows embraced some of it, but like you just said, didn't rub it in your face. Like on General Hospital, there's a doctor who's now chief of staff, and she used to be a he that Elizabeth Weber knew very well. But you know what? That's okay. They brought Terry into the storyline that way, but they don't rub in your face every day.
Do I sense someone who watches soap operas?
I do. At different times of my life, I was in the hospital a day here, a couple days there for things, and got tired of watching Medical Center, with Chad Everett and the other guy, because then the nurse would come in and ask me how I was, and I'd start saying, well, I'm feeling this and I'm feeling that. And they'd be going, no, you can't have South African dingle dong because, you haven't been in South Africa. And as soon as you come into the United States, you lose it, So I started watching all of the ABC soaps, except for Ryan's Hope. I didn't like.
Now Blue Bloods. As long as the storyline doesn't change, they are spot on with the politics of the police force, with the governor and the mayor being where they are, and the police force having the. They're like the New York police force. They more or less gave up making arrests. Okay, but in the TV show, they're showing the same thing where the police officers are frustrated. Why did somebody go out there and make an arrest? They're going to go out back down the street anyways. So they are reflecting real life to a certain degree, but still keeping the Catholic family beliefs and morals in the show, and I like that about the show. So it is possible to have a highly successful show without bringing in all the garbage.
But Melinda, I did watch Dallas, but at different times I liked different characters. I thought Bobby was quiet and would never be the head of Ewing Oil because he just couldn't stand up to people. JR, I figured at some point would be a criminal that would go to jail, and just that would be the end of Ewing Oil. And I always wanted to be the matriarch. I always wanted to be Jock Ewing because I just figured, all guys grow up, and if you start a business or have a business, you want to pass it down to your sons or your daughters. I say daughters because it's pretty funny. My uncle married my father's sister, so that made him my uncle. Had a butcher shop, and it was Jacob Shaffrin and Sons. And Jacob Shaffrin was Uncle Jackie's father, and he only had sons. So when my cousins Gail and Audrey came along, every once in a while I would take one aside and I would go, the sign says Jacob Shaffrin and Sons were the sons. And it was never funny to them. But, okay, it's probably not funny to you either. But go ahead, Randy.
I was talking about the schools, universities,
houses of learning.
I was doing, Washington and Lee University has been up front and in the minds of the SIA and the SCV, because they are in the process of removing anything having to do with the South. And the sad thing is that when the before it became a university, it was just a local school, and President George Washington, uh, 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 took it under his arm and donated a lot of land, a lot of money to help it become, a larger school. Um, and then along came, the Civil War, and a lot of the folks, stopped going to university, obviously for obvious reasons. But so they named it the university after Washington donated the money. They named it Washington, um, Washington School or something. I forget the heck what it is. Anyway, they named it after Washington. Civil War came along. The student population took a dive, and the school was hurting for money. And they actually approached General Lee of the Confederate Army to become the president of the school. So what she did, and because of who he was, she brought with him a lot of donations, and people started going back to college. So they decided to name the school Washington Lee. Had it not been for those two guys, that school wouldn't be in existence probably today. And they're in the process of removing anything having to do with Washington and General Lee. I mean, and it's gotten so bad that one person walked past and saw that General Lee's horse, which is buried on the grounds there at the university, had a tombstone. It's another big tombstone. It's a big tombstone. It had a sign saying who he was and what his name and the general and so forth. And someone took offense. So they removed. They actually broke up the tombstone, removed the sign that described what was buried there. And there's conversation possibly of actually digging up the damn horse's remains and removing, because it's so offensive to the students. But in the bylaws of the damn university, which is it's a law university, they're teaching these people to God to be attorneys, okay? And in their bylaws, it says that we will accept anyone. These are my words. Anyone, black, white, yellow, blue, green, purple. They'll accept anyone. No, they're not racist. And they don't support any type of outward violence and so forth. Okay, and but back in 2014 and up in 2014, the Confederate flag is flying. In different places on the campus, and they had their tombstones, they had their statues, and so forth. They had some of the buildings were named after General Lee, and so forth. The chapel was named after General Lee, and 7 students out of almost 2,000 at that time were offended by the sign, by the flag, and about the statues. 7 out of 2,000 students were offended. And they went to the university officials and said, either these you remove, or we're going to create a riot on campus that you're not going to like. So they went against their own damn bylaws, listened to 7 students, and they're in the process of totally erasing the whole history of the university and how it came to be because of 7 freaking students.
I don't understand why anyone gives into that, because some of those 7 students are all probably like computer majors, and they're in Microsoft AI building.
No, this university is teaching them to be lawyers. This is a legalistic university. They're
so this is right. So this was a class project they did to see if they could close down. They could make, I'm just saying that it was a project they took on to see if, as lawyers, they could get the university to change the name of buildings and move a monument. Because if it was me as chancellor of the university or whatever, the head top dog, I'd look and I'd go, you know what? This area has always been this. This building has always been this. The Lee family maintains the name of, endowed the name of the building. And if you don't like it, don't take classes in that building. And if you don't like the fact that the horse is buried here, go over and go someplace else on campus and hang out. Or come to the campus and come to me and say, we want Beyonce Hall or something, or Beyonce Lounge somewhere, and maybe we'll approach her, and I can't guarantee that she'll do it, but maybe they will. Stop. Go ahead.
It also boils down to is these people, those on the left, when they go to a school or to a town or to somewhere, they know what's already in place. They go there with the intention of causing a problem and threatening to do something to force their will on the majority. These students knew when they went to Washington University, it was named for George Washington and General Lee. They knew those statues were there when they got there.
And I hope that, no, go ahead.
I'm fed up with those on the left being in the minority, telling those in the majority what to do, because they're the violent ones. They're the ones who will burn down your towns, loot your stores, shoot your police officers. They're the ones who are violent, and because they're violent, they will get whatever the hell they want.
Well, and it needs to stop. And I've been saying lately, it's time for the silent majority to not be silent anymore. And I can say it every day, whether or not it will happen. I really can't tell anyone. Yeah. With Jerry last night, it was a brief discussion on why we do these kinds of things. Because a lot of times I'll be sitting here at my desk and I'll go, what am I going to bring up today? What are we going to talk about? And then it's like, so I'll have a list and I'll go read some articles and have some stuff to share, and then go, okay, I'm going to tell them about this, I'm going to tell them about this, I'm going to tell them about this. What are they going to do? Nothing.
And that's a sad thing too, is, every now and then, like I said, the other day, I was in the right mood to do my own broadcast, and it wasn't anything to do with genealogy or history, and but something was on my mind, because unfortunately,
go ahead.
Something just hit me. Here I am saying, why are the people on the right so damn quiet and afraid to raise their voices? I have a daughter who lives with us who is a Democrat. My wife and I try not to talk politics because we don't want to argue.
So you're a Republican, and your wife Claudette is a Republican.
Yes.
And you have a daughter who is a Democrat.
I have no idea.
How the hell did that happen? Because my mother, I think, has always been an independent who leaned Democrat. And my father was an independent that leaned Republican, although my mother tells me it's the other way around, but I don't really believe that. My grandfather was a hardcore Republican who was like, no, the only way to vote is Republican, my mother's father. But so it's easy. I've always wanted to question that. So how did two Republicans end up with a Democrat daughter?
My son's also a Democrat. It boiled down to, the people that they hung around with. But,
okay.
Let me just put this out here. I don't mind that my son, my daughter,
I'm teasing.
No. I don't mind that they're Democrats, but when they, in some areas, agree with how the left reacts, the violence and so forth, and how they cannot see the evidence in front of them that the election was stolen, That's why I can't understand. So that's why we don't talk politics and so forth.
The violence to me is they found places where they could go, where like Mayor Beetlejuice had pretty much defunded the Chicago Police Department. So, and she was on every Monday morning saying Chicago had more shootings than any other place in the country. So that told leftist socialist Democrats, go to Chicago and shoot it up every weekend. Yeah. You know, it was all over Facebook, the Portland fires that were burning out of control because the Portland Police Department had been defunded.
And again, it's the Democrats want to defund the police. Actually, I think they'd be happy if there was no police force. Okay, that's all good and said. They have their own damn security guards. They have the money to hire security guards above what the government pays for. That's hunky-dory fine for them. But what about the rest of us? I saw this little video. It goes back a few years where the shit's hitting the fan. This guy's house is being robbed, and he calls in. It's for 911, and he gets placed on hold. And that's what we're going. That's what's going to happen. We're not going
to answer. It's going to be it's going to be an AI. Thanks for calling 911. Your call will be answered in the order received. You're now 9,000 in the queue.
You're now calling 9,000 queue. We'll get to when we can.
And or it'll be you're 9,000 in the queue, or you can leave your name and number, and we'll call you back. We'll call you back when you come up. And so you put your number in, and then it'll be okay. Now you're 18,000. You're 18,000 on the call on the call list.
It's a shame. It really is. And the families, the liberal families, are not teaching their children respect. Respect your police officers. I saw a video the other day of freaking 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kids using the F word and attacking these police officers. Now, these police officers are stand there and take that bullshit. But you know what? I bet you, if that person's house ever got broken into or they're being attacked, they're going to want to call the police and have them respond and not remember the fact that their kids were just cursing them out 2 days ago.
But in some cases, some stuff does fall on the police, because I watch these videos every once in a while where the police go into a school and they handcuff a 5, 6, 7-year-old kid and take them out of the building, throw them, they don't throw them. They put them in the back of the cruiser and they take them to the police station because of whatever reason that it was. We never had that when we were kids. They called your parent. And if they couldn't get your parent, then you sat in the nurse's office by yourself, locked in, I'm sure. You couldn't leave. And you waited for your mom or your dad or whoever was on the sign out list.
Your dad's going to be pissed. You have to leave work.
Yeah, or whoever was on your sign out list to come and pick us up, and bring us home, or the nurse to go, you're okay, get back to class. Kind of thing. And you hope that, some of you hoped that your mom or your dad didn't find out what really happened because you got the belt or the switch or whatever, or both, or got to pick. There were 5 of us at home, and we never got spanked. Every once in a while, my mom might have slapped us.
That's what your problem is.
No.
My dad's in the Air Force 22 years, and I think every military branch has the same damn leather belt with a metal buckle. And when we did something terribly wrong, you had that belt coming out of the belt loops. Bend over. Boom.
My dad, the belief also was that in neighborhoods like that we grew up in, that those thin dress belts that men wore with their suits, those hit with a sting So my mother would chase us around the house because my mother was like 4'11" for years. So once we hit 5 feet, we were, taller than my mom, faster than my mom. So she would chase us around the house until the last time. I forget how old my brother was. My mother was chasing him through the house. And they're in the kitchen at the island, and she's yelling at him and yelling at him. I'm going to strap you, do this, do that. And my brother grabs her, not hard, but under the arms, lifts her up, puts her on the island, pats her head, and says, "Mom, you need to calm down now." And all I can remember is that she busted up laughing, and all of us watching busted up laughing. And but yeah, I mean, we had a loud house at times. My dad would scream, my mom would scream. There were 5 kids, we'd scream. But I honestly don't believe that, or grew up believing that you didn't have to grab a switch or a belt or a hand and whack your kids. And in
I was in school back in the 70s, and the principal was allowed to use a wooden paddle on students who were rowdy in class.
The one with holes in it, or just the paddle?
The one with holes in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never got that. They just had to threaten me with that. That was it.
And I remember my graduation year. I think that's when an incident occurred, and that might have been when they decided to stop doing that. There was once a guy who was always causing problems. You looked at him, you could see his problems, and he was just totally problems. And the classrooms had his phone that the teacher could pick up the phone and dial right into the main office. And they could talk to the secretary or talk to the principal. And this one occasion occurred where she was having the problem with this kid in the classroom. She called into the principal's office. That principal came with the wooden paddle, and I'm sorry, he came and assumed it was the student that's always causing problems. Picked him up, threw him against the wall, and went to punch him in the legs.
And it turned out to be the wrong kid.
It was the wrong student.
Yep. And I bet the father came down and used that paddle on the principal. That was my only thing, because we didn't need, in schools that I was in, we didn't need to see a paddle, because we had, teachers, we had principals who were somewhat understanding. I mean, a few times if I blew my stack and I couldn't get calmed down, they'd say, "Go take a breather," or go see your guidance counselor, which was code for grab your books, go home, and come back tomorrow, to all of us. And, that's what it was. I had a creative writing teacher in, I think, junior and senior year, who said, "Just write." He'd kick me out of the classroom and say, "Go home, write, and turn it into me tomorrow." And I would do that.
We had the okay, Randy, get out the dictionary, turn to page blah blah blah. I want you to write from page to page blah blah.
It doesn't. I learned that wouldn't work. If he said, the Bart Simpson stand in front of the class, stand at the board, write that doesn't work, because I'm just standing there. If I was standing there writing that, Mr. Crump is full. I'm thinking, I'm writing, "I will not talk in class. Mr. Crump is full of shit," is what I'm thinking. Until I wasn't paying attention one day, and every other line turned out to be, "I will not talk in class. Mr. Crump is full of shit."
Yeah.
And it wasn't Mr. Crump. Mr. Crump was actually a good teacher. But
that's what I got to take off and get some work done.
All right, get some work done. Get some work done. Find some famous people who don't want to know that they're related to me.
There you go. I had this one lady. She came to me via one of my clients, and she needed to know if she had Confederates in her background so she could join the the Confederate Rose, which is the female version of the CV. So I did find the Confederates, and as I was working on it, holy shit, here comes Anne Boleyn, and Anne Boleyn was one of the wives of King Henry VIII.
Yeah.
So I said, look, I said, I know you were just looking for this, but I said, I found the fact you're related to King Henry VIII, which means you're related to all of the royals, including the Queen Elizabeth and so forth. And I said, I would love to dig deeper and add this to your genealogy, but she didn't have any money.
I always thought it would be cool if you or anyone else would find, like, for lack of putting it better, because she's passed on and she's probably not going to care anymore. The Queen Elizabeth had an affair after Charles was born and before Andrew was born, and I was, that lawyer in the British morning suit knocks on the door like King Ralph and comes in and sits me down and, Dave, you are, Charles is sick in bed. He's dying. You're going to become the King of England. and no, I'll just take my share in cash because they're going to lock me in that tower.
Sell off a couple of those crowns, and I'll just take the money.
They, speaking of that, they lowered the amount of money that they give the crown. Yeah, they lowered the amount of money that they give the crown because it was either their investments are making them more money or they just don't think that they need to pay them the amount of money that they were giving. I think it went for 2023, it went down 25%. And then I think in another couple of years, it goes down another 25%, almost like it sounds like they're just trying to get it to the point where they don't pay them anymore. But
the sad thing is that the royalties, they own all those castles and palaces and fortresses, and to maintain them, it's a shitload of money. Well, so that's why they have the damn tours going through.
Sell them and turn them into hotels.
Yeah.
I remember before I got to let you go on the down in it's not Providence, Newport, down in the Newport area. There's all those mansions that belong to all the original wealthy elitists, and the person who inherited it was living in one of them and just could not afford to do it, and finally ended up giving it to the city, who I don't know if they still own it or if they turn it into a bed and breakfast hotel.
One last thing is, you had all those fancy hotels like in New York, where they're like $5,000 a room.
Yeah.
They
own a Helmsley's hotel.
Now you have the illegals in there, and they're destroying those hotels, and that's historical for New York, and they're freaking destroying them.
They shouldn't do it there. Now I hear talk that they're trying to get Massachusetts to do it, to do the same thing. And
stop bringing them in.
Well, it isn't stop bringing them in. It's take the ones that don't deserve to be here, the ones that don't have a legal right to seek asylum, and put them on a bus and drive them across the border. But,
But look at Jack Alexander, okay? He has I think his mom is American.
His mom is American, but she didn't live here long enough for him to be able to claim citizenship.
He's in Australia and he's working 3 freaking jobs to raise enough money to come back to the United States. But yet we're letting these people cross the border illegally. We're putting them into a $5,000 a night room that they're destroying, turning into a slum. They're eating and feeding off of us, and poor Jack Alexander stuck in Australia.
Well, that's there. Yeah, no, it's not. And I don't know what the answer is other than, these people who have the hotels and whatever are.
Well, I know what the answer is, but the answer is going to be, something more along the violence line. And
tell them they can't do it.
I don't know if we.
Why aren't we putting homeless vets in there?
One last thing. I do know that the SCB, the SIA, and their other affiliations, and they're all 3 letters.
Okay.
But they are striving to try I know this was a conversation that Jen has and you have, and I think someone else was talking about it and for and against. But Michael, I think it was.
Yeah.
But they are trying to get enough of their like-minded politicians into office because they are seriously going to look at trying to legally split the country. And that's what they're.
I'm opposed to it, but I'm opposed to it for one reason. Say you live in Florida. Your family has lived in Florida since your family got off the boat coming from Cuba or wherever it was. You're here legally. You've been here for generations legally. You want to be in a blue state, and all of a sudden you find out you now live in a red state, and you have to move because this is a red state.
No one's going to be forced to move. It's going to be okay. Should it ever happen? What happened? Who the hell knows? But the dream of it is to legally and peacefully split the damn 13 original states away because the northern states don't have and don't share the same values, okay? Or at least the majority of some of the states, okay? The ones who are creating the laws don't have the same values as those living in the South, okay? The majority of people live in the South. So if you're a flaming liberal living in Florida, and all of a sudden we do split the country in half, now we have the Confederate States of America, and you have the Democratic states of whatever, and you find yourself in a country that you don't want to be in. You got the right to move. I mean,
but that country doesn't necessarily have to take you. I mean, no. Who's going to decide? I'm on SSDI. You're on SSDI. Other people are on SSDI. That's the federal government. What's to make the federal government say, well, if you're in Florida, and Florida is a state of the douchebag states of America, for lack of calling it anything else, we're going to cut you off.
Well, obviously,
and you can't.
You're creating a new country, okay? So if you have a population in your new country that is dependent on state aid, obviously they're going to find some way to continue financing the state aid. It's no different than forcing these states to give free housing, free schools.
Well, no, right. I understand what you're saying.
Illegal.
I think if it ever gets to I just think if it ever gets to that point, all of the illegals that are here are all of a sudden going to move to the 13 original colonies, and you guys are going to not get the results.
No. The illegals will find their way up north or back to their homes because that's one of the reasons why we don't want them. But why ever see a split country? Why ever see a Republican back in the White House? No, I don't see it.
I don't. Well, okay, that I don't know. I personally, like I said last thing before, I think you said you got to go. If we see Donald Trump back in the White House, I think it's going to be with a Democrat super Congress, because I don't think there's enough Republicans that are going to be able to win. And it's going to be 4 more years until they. Well, no, it'll be 4 more years, but it won't be an impeachment until the House is sure they have something that that the Democrat majority of the Senate is going to vote for. Because to me, this is ridiculous. Yeah. And if it doesn't matter if they impeach him. If he comes back 2024 to 2028, it doesn't matter if they impeach him because he can't run again anyway. He can't make back the time that he lost.
The Democrats are so damn tied up with trying to get him out of office. And I'm going to leave with this. They went back 140 years back to find a freaking law that is still on the damn books, okay, to try and find him guilty of. And that being said, have a good day.
Last thing before you go. If it was Robert Kennedy Jr. against Trump, he blows Biden out for it. Who do you think will win?
Oh, Trump.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
the Kennedy family has a curse against. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah,
There's an old Native American curse against Canadian name.
Yeah.
I forget what happened. They pissed off the Native Americans and they've got a curse on them.
Well,
See ya.
All right. Roads, all roads lead to home. Genealogy Services. It is a group on Facebook. You can also look up Randy Rhodes' Facebook profile and go look there. And you should, because you should know what the history of your family is. It is not expensive if you look at comparing it to other people who do it for you, other genealogists. It is, I believe, $250 a month, and he will find, I'm sure, in some cases, more information than you ever wanted him to find out. If you're not sure, talk to him, and he will go in 15 minutes. He'll go back 5 generations and give you an idea as to whether or not you want him to continue. He's doing very well with his business, and I wish him continued luck. I want to thank Melinda Brown Fortney for watching. And Melinda said back when we were talking about soap operas, I never got to watch Dallas. I never got to watch Dallas, but our restaurant had to get a television to get customers to go out and eat. And Melinda, if the restaurant is still in business, you're welcome to mention it and talk about it. And that's my question to a lot of restaurants that are still in existence. And, is this affecting people coming to your restaurant? Because now I'm sure you got to have 17 TV sets in your room or in your main dining rooms, because you got to have a section that can watch CNN, a section that can watch this one, a section that can watch that one. If you're a sports bar, you got to have every single game that's on in every single sport. And, I always wondered, I know bars, that always helped, having sports, as many different sports games as you could have on would get people in to watch. And bars were always good for cab rides or car services, getting people home afterwards. But thanks to Melinda for watching, and S. Marie Daly for watching. And we were live in the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel over on YouTube. And let's see. It looks like everybody that watched. I did leave the Boogie with the Bull True Patriot Talk group open just in case anybody showed up watching there. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it on on my profile and run it from there, and everybody can take it and share it from there if you're watching on Facebook, and not have to worry about the Facebook user problem that could or could not come up if we put it in the Boogie with the Bull True Patriot Talk group. So if you're watching and you want your comment, you need to be in the Dave Globin profile. And if you're watching in the Boogie with the Bull True Patriot Talk group, I'll go and read your comments after the broadcast, but they will, and respond to them, but they won't be monitored during a broadcast. And we'll still keep it on the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel. That live chat comes to my screen. So if you're watching over there, you're still part of the fun. And we'll probably put it back on my at Boogie WT Bull Twitter profile until we figure out what we're doing with Twitter. Rumble is something that everybody hears. We're looking at it, but you know what? We have limited funds, being the no budget broadcasting company, and can't afford to pay to be everywhere. So I'm not sure what we're going to do. But you can take it from the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel and share it on Rumble if anybody wants to do that. You can take it from my profile on Facebook, which is public. Anybody can get to it, and you can take it and share it from there. Or like I said, go to the YouTube channel and take it and copy the link and bring it over to Facebook and share it everywhere you want to share it on Facebook. I appreciate that. And then, like I said, most of the time the link is up on the screen, and you don't have to be a broadcaster like me or Jerry Michaels or Randy Rhodes or Michael Anthony or Jen Woodruff or anybody else that joins us on a Boogie with the Bull broadcast. If you want to talk to America, last night we talked to 27 people who were watching it on I think my profile, and a little less were actually watching it in the group. So I'd rather get everybody watching in the group. And, if we hit over 20 and near 30 on a Boogie with the Bull broadcast, I'm happy, because very rarely does Facebook ever let me get more than that. We have a big active panel. Jerry Michaels is on, Randy Rhodes is on, Michael Rhodes is on, Michael Anthony is on, Jen Woodruff is on, maybe you're on, and we have a big active panel going and a lot of people in the live chat. Then, yeah, they let people on Facebook see it. But if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. Anyway, an hour and 35 minutes. In 10 minutes, it will be 12 noon, and we were going to end at 12 noon. We did start late today because I was trying to make sure that the Dave Globin profile live chat was coming through on my screen, and I had to go reset some Facebook settings for StreamYard in order to have that happen. So let's see. Today is Wednesday. You want to be at 7 o'clock. You want to be downstairs on the American Rebellion blogger page and watch the American Rebellion with Jerry Michaels, Nikki Young. Sometimes Daryl Rector is there. Jen Woodruff is there. I am there on occasion. Robert Lawless, the Minnesota Madman, is there. And you never know who else will be there. You can be there too, because the link is on the screen, and you are welcome to join the festivities as well. The American Rebellion, 7 p.m. Eastern to 9 p.m. Eastern on the American Rebellion blogger page here on Facebook. And Thursday evening, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., whoever wants to show up, take the link and join us. Boogie with the Bull Uncensored will be back. And we try to bring in the news of the day, but not in a heavy slap you in the face and tell you what's wrong, but bring it to your attention and give you a chance to think about it and how you would deal with it. And then, we've got to do more than just hitting you in the face with the politics every day. So again, if you see the link on the screen, you're more than welcome to join us. And if you become a regular on the broadcast, you become a regular on the broadcast. We have 10 people total, and I think the most we've had is 7. So, we can try to. It gets a little hard. Not everybody gets a chance to speak if we ever have 10. So we probably try to limit it to 5, maybe 6 at max. But, if you want to be on a broadcast Tuesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., then just let me know who you are, what you are, and what you want to discuss. Message me, and we will plug you in. And we'll be more than happy to have you. If you have a group on Facebook or a page on Facebook that you want people to see, regardless of whether or not it's politics, please let me know. You can come on and talk about your page and or your groups. If you have a broadcast that you land on Facebook or YouTube or other places and you want to come on and talk about it, you're more than welcome to do that as well. So anyway, double B's for victory. This Boogie with the Bull broadcast is going to come to an end. This is the portion of the program where I tell you are watching Boogie with the Bull Morning Caffeine for Wednesday, August 16th, 2023, a wholly owned copyrighted presentation of the No Budget Broadcasting Company. I'm just going to tell you, we own it all. And if we get in trouble for using something that we didn't have permission to use, 9 out of 10 times we have worked it out. And that's about all I can tell you. So, like I said, if you want to be part of the conversation on Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on the Dave Globin profile and the Boogie with the Bull channel over on YouTube, and probably on the at Boogie WT Bull, at Boogie WT Bull, at Boogie WT Bull, my Twitter profile. It'll be over there. I know it's hard for people on Twitter to watch something an hour long or more, but it will be there. Some people message me every once in a while and ask when we're going to do it again. I really would like to have a Twitter blue check, but it's just a little too much to put into the budget right now to be able to do it. And so just attaching it to the profile is the best thing we can do if you're over on Twitter. I have to look and find out if we can have our own group over on Truth Social. Now the groups are there. If we can, we'll set up a Boogie with the Bull group and we'll put the broadcasts in there if we can, and live if we can. And if we can't, then we will have to put the podcast there, which is why I tell people, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, take it from the YouTube channel and post it anywhere you want. You can even post it on Facebook from the YouTube channel. But if you do that, the only live chat that people will see is whether or not there was any live chat on the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel in YouTube live chat, or whether or not I said something and acknowledged somebody from that is watching on Facebook. So, and if you need to, worst comes to worst, just take it from my Facebook profile and share it. The only reason I don't like people to take it off of Facebook from my YouTube channel and share it is that Facebook puts a universal tracking monitor on it, so they know everywhere that it went, and they try to control like it's something exclusive to them. And you might have to log into Facebook to watch it on Street Lock, and you might have to do this and you might have to do that. You know, and I just don't want you to do that. I want to put it up anywhere and you can watch it. So if we put it up on Street Lock, we take it from the YouTube channel and you're able to just go right in and watch it. And one of these days, maybe we'll have our own network put together where you can just take it and share it from anywhere, or be a part of it from anywhere. I am going to close with one thing. There's a post that I put in the newsfeed yesterday about all these posts like, do this, they give the right answer and you win $2,500. And, you know that 9 out of 10 times they're scams because people don't win the $2,500 and their account either gets hacked or it gets cloned or they just get spammed up the watching zoo. Think about it. Okay, this one in particular, the guy put up 684 vertically and wanted to know all the numbers that you saw. So I think I sent 684 plus the other numbers that I saw. So it was like a total of 7 numbers. And I think the person said the person who gets the most number or sees the most numbers wins $2,500. Don't offer people stuff like that unless you're really going to actually meet them somewhere in public and give them the $2,500. And if you call me or contact me and tell me that you're going to come give me the $2,500, I'm probably going to set it up so that the Clay County Sheriff's Department or the Orange Park Police or some protective organization is there to make sure that there's actually no problem. But don't tell me you're going to come give me $2,500 if you're not going to give me $2,500, because I'll tell you right now, with $2,500, we can do a little bit of good for some organizations, and at the same time, we can do a little bit of good for Boogie with the Bull and help us get a studio together that is separate and out of the house, and take Boogie with the Bull on the road to different places, which would be a whole lot of fun. Really, I would really like to, but I have not done it yet. And I've talked about it for probably 2 years now, is at some point talk to the management of the Golden Corral on Blanding Boulevard in, I believe it's Orange Park at that point. It might still be Middleburg. And talk to them about maybe once a month taking control of one of the 2 small, I guess, private rooms. And you still have to buy your plate to come in and be there. But we broadcast it live and have a whole lot of fun, a whole lot of laughs, eat some good food, and just have fun together. And I haven't really ever actually moved to the next step of trying to do it. And you always see all these people saying, come to Ohio to our benefit. And then you should. Anything you see from Dawn Moody with her group in Ohio, and as it spreads around the country, you should go to We the People, or We the People group in Ohio. You should. We the People Freedom is what I believe the name of the group actually is. But when you see her Ohio events, if you can, you should be there, and other groups. And anybody who is here in Florida and wants to commute to what I guess is northern Florida, Clay County, where we are in beautiful Fleming Island, and is interested in possibly doing something on the grounds of St. John's River College or University. I don't know, but St. John's River has a beautiful big parking lot that faces College Ave, and it'd be a beautiful spot for a Boogie with the Bull festival. And so I don't know when we would actually do it, but anybody who's interested should contact me and try to see if we can get Randy Greason back in to get some music and other things. And if you're a food truck operator and you want to bring your food truck, we'll try to make sure that you're allowed to do that. And if you're a vendor and you want a booth to sell your wares or give away your wares, we'll make sure you get that too. And just have a lot of fun together. And it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat or an American neo-Nazi or an Antifa member. Just, everybody's going to come and get together and not have any problems with anybody, and just enjoy a day in America with our friends and our families and our kids safe together. And it's something I want to do if the opportunity ever comes up. Anyway, I'm Dave Globin. Thank you for the privilege of letting me abuse your time. The 10 a.m. Boogie with the Bulls morning caffeines will pop up every now and then when Randy Griesenbeck or others are available to do them. Probably leaning on doing the 7:30 a.m. Boogie with the Bull morning caffeines myself, along with maybe 1 or 2 people if they want to come on and take part in that. Or maybe we'll just do the 10 a.m.s when I can do them. I don't really know. I haven't really decided. I enjoy doing them, which is why I do it, and I enjoy having people on as guests, whether you do your own broadcast or just have your own desire to come on and talk to anybody on Facebook and YouTube that is watching, and anywhere else people may see it from Facebook and or YouTube. Anyway, Double B's for Victory. This Boogie with the Bull broadcast is going to come to an end, and we'll come up here and hit this one. Double B's for Victory. It is going to come to an end, and we're getting pretty good at doing this. Double B's for Victory. This Boogie with the Bull broadcast did come